I hate test lamps, and in this video we're going to look at 5 reasons why you need to be cautious when pulling any of these out of your toolbox too. First of all, we're going to run through some of the basics of the test lights and the different ones that we've got, and then I'm going to show you how you can avoid getting into horrible situations when testing on the vehicle and potentially even prevent you from damaging things. That's not good. I've split this video into 2 parts. In the second video, we're going to put all of these test lamps through a performance style experiment to show you how good they may or may not be when it comes to actual diagnostics on the vehicle. Okay, so we've got a load of test lights here on the bench, and I will be honest, I had to go and buy these just for this video. For the last 16 years I've been training for manufacturers, and all of those say that these things are a big no-no. Now, reason number 1, you need to be really careful when using test lights is that every single one of these, they can be quite different, and that means that the results you get from one of these could be different depending on what type of fault you're looking at. So let's have a quick look at them. This is the first test lamp that we've got here, relatively inexpensive. I can't remember how much it was, like £3.50 or something like that. But you can see that it's actually got like a small lamp in there, like a side light bulb or something like that. We've got a little clamp on the end and some sort of coating on the probe. So let's just put that onto the ground. And now how these work is they essentially create a circuit. So if you put this end on the ground and this end on the wire you want to test, if it doesn't light up, then it means that you have potentially got some sort of problem in the line there. And we're going to really put that to the test in this series. So if we pop that on that live there, you can see that it has lit up. I did notice that the coating on here wasn't the greatest, and it sometimes causes a problem on there. So that is literally your typical test lamp. This one is nearly exactly the same. However, look at that horrible thing that they give you to kind of clamp onto a ground or whatever. It doesn't even really fit on this very small battery post. However, we can just touch it on there and see that it does light up much the same as the other one. So they are probably pulling a small amount of current. The bulb in there is it looks like a side lamp bulb. I did measure the resistance and it was 20 ohms. However, when this is switched on, the resistance of that will be much, much higher. And you probably expect to draw around 200 milliamps, which is not a lot of current at all, okay? Now we've got this test lamp here, and actually it has a bit of a nicer cable on it, arguably. We have got a clamp on the end there. However, we've got this like digital display, okay? So if we put that onto the ground there and then touch it onto here, you can see that we've got a reading there, 11.7 volts. So it's actually giving us a bit of a reading, and you would hope that that would change depending on what voltage you've got out there. Now, when people use these, they generally disconnect the circuit, which means in most kind of scenarios, it's probably always going to read battery voltage in a high resistance situation. Again, we'll really put that to the test in our experiment. This one then is probably the most expensive test lamp on the bench. It's a snap-on. Again, it's not the greatest kind of clamp that you've got on there. It does fit on the ground, and if we touch this one on here, you can see that it's an LED type test lamp. That is not going to be pulling very much current at all. So these 2 test lamps were like an LED type test lamp, pulls very, very low amount of current, relatively high resistance. And then these ones here are incandescent bulb test lamps, which pull a bit more current and can potentially get you into a little bit more trouble. We've then got this unearthly contraption here. Okay, now this is a wireless test lamp, and how they work is that they use the conductivity of your body. Now if I put my finger on the ground side there and then touch this on, you can see that the light on the end there lights up and it makes a bleep noise. That's really high resistance, okay, a really high resistance circuit. Again, when it comes to diagnostics, probably completely useless, okay? So the other thing is, if you put it the other way around, sometimes people like to switch the lead of the test lamp round. This won't work the other way, and actually I don't think the snap-on would. Oh, the snap-on one does. So that's bi-directional, which is quite interesting because it is an LED in there at the end of the day. I wonder if this one is as well. Let's just try this one with the reading on there. So actually that does work the other way around as well, and that give a green light that way and a red light that way. Doesn't make me like it anymore. So yeah, these are probably really resigned to just seeing if it's alive or not, okay? And again, we're going to put that to the test on the bench. This thing, I don't even know where I got this from, maybe like a Christmas cracker or something like that. It's got a screwdriver end on there, and you can remove the cable, very, very low quality cable. And if we put this on here, we should be able to see that it's an incandescent type bulb, similar to what we've got in these test lamps here. So the main thing to remember with all these different types of test lamps is they've got a different resistance value, and when you test it on the circuit, it's going to pull different amounts of current through it. So depending on the type of fault you've got, you know, you may or may not get a positive result at the end, okay? Now, when it comes to open circuits, it's quite black and white. You know, if you put a test lamp on a power supply and it's open circuit, it's not going to light up. Whereas if you've got resistive problems, which is what we're seeing quite a lot of lately, even halfway down wiring looms hidden away, that's where these things can actually start causing you problems. Which brings us to the second reason why the test lamps aren't that great for diagnostics. If you find yourself often struggling with diagnostics or just want to keep up with the latest vehicle technology, then come and check out Mechanic Mindset Diagnostic Coach. We have over 30 diagnostic courses with 500 plus lessons covering topics from basic electrics, sensor diagnostics, up to more advanced topics like CANBUS, Limbus and FlexRay. Plus we cover everything in between, like electric vehicles, powertrain systems and emissions. In addition to the instant access training, you can also join us for a monthly live training session from here in the Mechanic Mindset Workshop Studio. We also have a private technical support community where you can get help from me and over 4,000 Mechanic Mindset members from all over the world. Right now we have a great offer on where you can get an analog sensor simulator for the monthly plan plus a multimeter when you sign up for the annual plan. Be sure to check the website for the latest offers and deals. Hope to see you inside. Now take the incandescent lamps. We are only getting a bulb that lights up. Okay, now that bulb lights up there this bright, and that's what we would say 11.7 volts. Now if we bring it over to the car and the ignition is on this vehicle, it's a hybrid, so the DC-DC converter is on. We should have around 14 volts here. Arguably that's, you know, a very close brightness to what we saw on the 11.7 there. So again, you're not really sure if the brightness is the same or not. That's why I prefer the multimeter. What we need to remember is when it comes to real voltage drop diagnostics, the limits are very low as what's acceptable and what's not. You know, in many cases we talk about the limit being 0.5 volts difference as being acceptable. So if we even said 1 volt of difference from one end of the wire to the other, your test lamps in many cases wouldn't really be able to show you that difference visually. What you also need to remember is that most systems on vehicles now are controlled by pulse width modulation, and if you were to put a voltmeter on there, it's going to read much lower than battery voltage in many cases, which is why we would then recommend using something like the oscilloscope to test that properly. Okay, the third reason that I really don't like these things is that they promote really bad practice. So the ends of these are not really suitable for testing in electrical connections. First of all, you're not going to want to try and stab it down the back of any connectors or pierce any wires. That's just really bad. And if we look at the front of these connectors, that's what most people are going to do, is front probe the connectors with one of these. You can see here that you're just not going to get that in there unless you force it. You know, you might find a point on the side to test it, but you know, what we've just done here is disconnected that connector to test potentially resistance in the line. And in most cases, you're not really going to see any problems when you disconnect that. And we're going to put that to the test in that second video. We're going to run through all the different resistances versus the test light. And you know, that's generally what happens when someone's got these in their hand. If they're not really sure where they're going, they just start prodding wires to see what they might get. And that just brings us to the fourth reason, is the headaches that this could end up causing you if you don't know where you're placing it. Okay, so I've connected up the oscilloscope onto the signal line of this camshaft sensor right here, and I'm going to start up the engine so we can see the signal and then see what happens if we place the test light on that signal wire. Okay, so you can see that we've got a nice camshaft sensor signal there now. I've got the test lamp connected up. We can see that it's connected up onto the ground there. And if I just touch that onto that pin, look at what happens to our camshaft sensor signal. It's gone. The test light has basically pulled that sensor line down to ground, which is not good. Not good at all. So we've essentially just shorted that sensor circuit down to ground with the test light. Because the lamp in here is relatively low resistance, it's going to pull that line down to ground. We can see fault code wise that we have got some fault code stored, short circuit to ground, signal low. And depending on what circuit you do that to, it could end up switching off lines, switching off circuits, and starting to cause more problems than you are trying to fix. So again, you just need to know what you're doing with these things. So we were using the incandescent lamp test light there, which is quite a low resistance. I do wonder if we get the same effect using the LED test lamp. Not that this is a valid test anyway, checking signal lines with a test lamp. It's not really the done thing. Let's see what we get. Now, maybe this one will flash. We don't know. Let's have a look. If we just put this ruler there, you can see that this is where it is while it's good. If we then put this test lamp on there, you see how it's pulled it down. Okay, so it is still trying to pull that down to ground. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but that lamp is flashing. Now I would say that just because when you put that on there it did flash with the camshaft sensor signal, that it's a recommended test method, I just wouldn't even entertain it. If you're looking at a camshaft sensor signal, just get the oscilloscope out, then you can see exactly what's going on with it. We come on to the fifth reason of why I'm not a big fan, and the manufacturers really don't like test lamps. So if we just take this camshaft sensor signal that we've been testing here, and I'm going to go onto the sensor power supply, and we can see that on the oscilloscope there. We've got a 5-volt supply, reference voltage. Okay, so when I go on to test this reference supply, a few things are going to happen. So if you just watch the oscilloscope display, you can see that it pulls it down. And we've got a really horrible noise coming from down here, okay? Actually, what's happened now is that when I touch it onto the test lamp, it's not pulling it down to ground anymore, look, it's holding it high. In fact, it's even trying to light this test lamp up. And every now and then it will reset and it will actually like shorten it out to ground, okay, like there. And now it's lit the test light up. What we're actually doing there is putting unnecessary load on the internal components in the ECU. So the reference voltage supply here, it's a power supply and it's only 5 volts and it's really low current. It's not designed to illuminate a test lamp, okay? So when you put that on there, the ECU freaks out and is like, okay, we've got a short circuit on this line, and it turns it off. In fact, if we look at the fault codes that we've got here, we can see that we've got valvetronic position sensors, short or open line disconnection. Again, we're on the camshaft sensor here, so it's probably sharing a power supply with the valvetronic sensors. And we've also got DME supply 3 sensors, actuators 5 volts, voltage too low, which again just points out that that sensor voltage supply line has been pulled down. So again, just don't do it. You know, just use a multimeter, use an oscilloscope. It's much safer. And in some cases, what you could do is put this onto a line which is very sensitive and is not designed to carry short circuits to ground, which is essentially what this is. And you can then end up having to replace a control unit. So these are the reasons that I chose to put the Mechanic Mindset name on a multimeter and basically give it away to anyone who signs up to the annual Diagnostic Coach training plan. If you're interested to learn more about automotive diagnostics of all areas, from basic electricals to networks, CAN bus, FlexRay, and everything in between, then go and check it out. There is a free access area so you can get an idea of what it's like, and you can sample some of the lessons we've got and log into the mobile phone app and enjoy the content there as well. Plus, make sure you check out the website for the latest offers. Stay tuned for the next video on test lights, where we're going to put every single one of these test lights through a full test to see how they would actually help you in a fault scenario.